Happy Tuesday, everyone. This is September 15th. So this is our weekly, you can say, product training, ambassador overview for products and science and really whatever we want to talk about. So what we'll go over initially is there's been a few questions regarding thyroid function. And we're going to extrapolate on that a little bit because it's the fun part with science, and we talk environmental toxicology, and it's understanding how environmental toxins affect, I can say, me and the majority of the people that are here differently. And what's funny, I'm going to do the, see if I can do the gallery view, because it's me and Roland and a couple other guys against all the women. And there have been people that were asked, we're working with some of our marketing partners and building the brand and developing the brand, and who our community is really focused on, right? And our philosophy doesn't really have a specific market. We're womb to tomb, ideally. But know that women typically make the decisions in the household. They make the wellness decisions. They do the shopping. And more important than that, hold on, somebody signed in here from somewhere else. You can still hear me, right? Okay. More importantly is women don't just do the shopping and make the decisions for healthcare in the household, for themselves, for spouse they're around, and for kids. Women do the buying. Like, I'll tell you this, there's a difference between shopping and buying. My amazing better half, not very good at shopping, really good at buying. So, but when we look at the population, we skew heavier towards women because women are just smarter than men. But we don't have to argue that very much. Questions come up quite a bit about thyroid function. But what I want to do is we'll hit on the thyroid, but it's important to look at the entire endocrine system. So pineal gland, endocrine, some pituitary, some areas of your reproductive system that are all tied together with hormones and such, like your ovaries. So, but I also want to hit on the male side of it and how heavy metals affect, the primary issues for men. And we'll hit on the male aspect initially because it's a lot simpler, it's a lot quicker, and, well, we don't care much about the men. So the issues of environmental toxicity in men or boys, because we all start in the womb, because I don't think there's many test tube babies yet. We could argue that there's a few that might look like it, but not so much. And mercury in boys affects the brain more and your central nervous system. So if you look at the statistics of autism and Asperger's and ADD and ADHD, we know that they're much higher in boys than in girls. And this is the reason why, is the metals, the toxins affect boys up here, where girls, it's here and through the rest of your endocrine system. So when you're talking to, guys versus girls, men versus women in conversation about root and how products might be able to help and what the benefits are, you have to understand that they are two different conversations. Like they talked about, forgot who wrote the book, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, right? We are extremely different, right? And our environment affects us differently. And the beautiful part is you have one solution that benefits both differently. Because we know with zero in, especially when we're looking at endocrine function, it's going to help balance women, right? Mood, relaxation, stress management improves. And then you're able to multitask, because women multitask. Guys, we're in boxes. We have one box here, we have another box here, we have another box down here, and another one over here. And we go from box to box to box. I don't have a big ball of copper wire. That's a woman's brain. It's all bundled and connected together. And one thing that happens over here affects everything here. One thing that happened 7 years ago affects everything happening today. And if you get an argument, guys, you're not going to win, because what you did 5 years ago is going to come up in a reference today, and you have no idea, because that box was put away a long time ago. We have no idea what's in that box anymore. Women do. So what we want to do is start to clean your system up to where, one, you have better access to stuff, and you can apply things more effectively. You can manage it. So for guys, we're able to organize boxes. So we can cross-reference boxes, and we have a filing cabinet that we can go get boxes out of when we need to say, I know that there was a box for that. Let me go find it. I'll be back momentarily. And then you can use that box. I have my things, and you can use that box. You can put it away, and then you can go on. Women, everything's connected, but instead of having everything firing really quickly, you can slow down how that process is taking place and manage things much more effectively and cross-reference everything, get everything done, and then feel good. That's one of the keys. And I think at the end of the day, that's one of the most important things you can ask for. Anything we can do to just help us relax a little bit and better manage the situation. I know Sandy's probably on here, but he was making a point last week. Yep, he's on here. That he had a blowout on a tire on the freeway, and he didn't freak out. That he just merged over, handled the stress. It is what it is. Took care of everything, where normally it's a stressful situation and a lot of people will get freaked out. But if you have a little dopamine, you have a little serotonin, and as we've seen with Dr. Rao, if your heart rate variability is much improved, normal stressors don't affect you as much. And that's called being healthy. Most people today aren't healthy. And that's one of the things that you can chat with your friends about. Of, do you just want to feel healthy? Do you want to feel good? Say hello to my little friends. And it doesn't honestly matter what world you come from. We all want to be healthy and happy. We know that. But to have such a simple application that now we can say the combination of the two is clinically proven, from a leading research scientist in Europe, in Germany, that is an expert in his field of analysis, and the results were impressing him. So that's something that you guys will have. We'll have that available. But we'll get back to the endocrine aspect, since we ranted on the guys. So for women, when we look at your endocrine function and your thyroid, because one of the areas that is damaged heavily by mercury is your thyroid. And unfortunately, many physicians find it suitable that if there's disruption in the thyroid in women, that they choose to radiate or dissect part of the thyroid, which is horrible, right? It's absolutely terrible. One, because it leaves a nasty scar that doesn't look very good unless you use lasers, and then you can get rid of some of the scarring. Mika, are you showing me scars or? show off. So one of the key components is the understanding that we are polluted from the jump, and understanding where a lot of those pollutants are going to go. So with women, thyroid is an area that is heavily hit on. You know, that you're going to have heavy metals that are stored there. So this is part of the educational process for those that are here in the community. But when you're sharing with your friends, and we can assume that it's likely that there are going to be more women that are exposed to what we're doing than men, because women are more open to feeling good and being healthy than men are. And they spend more money to do it, even to look good. I mean, Lululemon, seriously. They've made billions of dollars by selling stretchy clothes that tighten things up and make you look better, which is not a bad thing. But just the ability to look a little bit better. I might have to start wearing them because I weighed myself yesterday for the first time in a long time. And well, there's room for improvement. I've spent too much time sitting here talking to you guys than going to work out. Shame on me. Makes me want a burger though. It's not a bad, and a couple corn dogs, which is probably what put me here. That's the extra 10 pounds is the corn dogs every 3 months or so that I get to eat, and they don't leave, no matter what you do. So your thyroid, and if you're on thyroid medication, and this goes to any type of medication, right? If you're on Synthroid, I'm going to be lost for a couple of the other meds for thyroid, for hyper and hypo. But we'll go over the thyroid aspect, and then we'll apply it to other aspects of the medication component, because I think this is an important area to talk about. Let me see how to word this properly with not being too offensive to the medical establishment. Let me word it this way. Here in the United States, our healthcare system, as I think most of you know, is not predicated on wellness. It's based on disease management. So it is crucial to understand, and granted, I'm not a doctor. I have a Bachelor of Arts in Humanities with a focus in business communications and kinesiology. I'm not a doctor. I was banned from being a doctor, right? I do have about 40 years around health and wellness. The last 5 or 6 years has been working on the allopathic side as well as the natural wellness side of healthcare, working in practices with physicians, MDs, teaching them how to improve quality and cost of care and do diagnostics to improve, basically to bridge a gap between identifying risk factors and then using what we have with Root. But you have to understand, working with doctors, they're not trained. They're not taught to do anything on the wellness side of the world unless they do postdoc work after they receive their medical degree. So if you go see an MD, they are going to give you a perspective based on what they know and what they've been taught. And this is why it's so important to have different perspectives. And it's also why the Root community in general is designed as such. We have MDs, we have naturopaths, we have chiropractors, we have everybody like us that don't hold doctorates. But many of us have spent a lot of time doing research, but each one of us also has a massive amount of life experience. And that life experience creates influence. And it's how you share it and how you use it and how you apply it. And the goal, as I think everybody here understands, is the social groups, the Facebook pages and some of the social groups are designed to allow each of us to share that influence, because it's the collective experiences that allow all of us to become better and more effective, right? Because you might have a question, or one of your friends or associates or a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend might have a question that maybe you've never heard before, or they're not comfortable in asking. Like for Roland or I, as an example, there are questions that women won't ever ask us because we're guys. But if they can see the question in a group that another woman was asking or she's writing about, you say, oh, wait a minute, I see this and this and this. And then it allows them to make better decisions. Maybe to say, you know what, I do want to try this. Or I'm using this and I'm seeing this and this and this happen to me. Has it happened to someone else, and why? So it's so important to understand that you guys are here for a reason, you're here for a purpose, but without your participation, you are effectively inhibiting the growth or the opportunity for people that you might not ever know. And if you haven't watched Will's testimonial from last week and you haven't shared it yet, because it's 19 minutes, it's on YouTube, it's in the Root Your Life group, you can pull it up on YouTube. If anybody asks you why would you want to do this? Well, here, let me give you one example. Take 19 minutes and watch this. Blind, deaf, leukemia, and type 1 diabetes. No mas. Why do you do this? Because we can help people of all kinds. That's why. That's the goal. It's not about this. It's all about being able to share and create a stronger, better community. The goal is to have that community be vast, right? We're in 50 countries already, probably a couple more than that now. And thousands upon thousands of members and growing. But just know that now you have more proven science. I mean, we talk about what Clean Slate is doing because of the scientific aspects of clinoptilolite and how it functions, and then the benefits of Zero In and what it does. And Dr. Rao, you guys get to watch his presentation if you weren't live with us an hour ago, to hear him go over each ingredient, because as a PhD, he has an extensive background in science and medical devices and product design and biotech and such, that don't take our words. Don't take ours. Look at two things. Outcomes. Outcomes, outcomes, outcomes. And then listen to other people that have levels of education that are beyond what we possess, right? Because as a group, we're a whole lot more influential and we're a whole lot stronger. So that was my rant. And we'll get back to the thyroid aspect because that gets me going, right? So with your thyroid, we know that mercury damages the thyroid. When does that happen? It starts at conception. And we know statistically that 30% of the mercury that's in mom is passed into the placenta. So if you have XX or XY chromosomes, the distribution of those metals is going to change a little bit. So you're loaded with some of those from the beginning. And it's so crucial to understand that in our world today, we've never had a point in human history where the human body has been more polluted than today. And tomorrow, it's going to be more polluted than it was today because our environment is horrifically polluted in every aspect. So you have damage to your thyroid, and your thyroid is kind of important, right, for endocrine function. So it stands to reason that if you have an area of your body where these metals, these toxins are going to be concentrated and sequestered, that prior to being invasive, you might want to try to clean stuff up. So as a woman, talking with other women as a means of having the discussion. I'll use Mika as an example because Mika posed some of these questions because she's had thyroid surgery. Correct, Mika? So what I would say is to hear from women that have had those kind of procedures done and what the ramifications are for them over the long term. Would it make more sense to try to clean stuff up prior? But also, if you're in your teens, if you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, would you not want to make sure that you're cleaning stuff up? She's right. Listen to the women. But as you work to clean up your body, and we can say specifically the thyroid in this instance, your system is going to adjust. So, and I will, I'll hit on the microbiome because Dr. Rao taught me a couple things a couple minutes ago in working with the microbiome, because I didn't know how quickly things can adjust. But when looking at thyroid function and really every organ system and every overriding or management system of the human body, you have to understand, as you start to remove these heavy metals and these other environmental toxins, things are going to come back into balance, because that's why they talk about disruption and dysfunction, right? And dis-ease. They're not a functional environment. As you remove the cause, right? We talk about curing the cause because that's the only thing that we're going to cure, is just removing what's causing the problem in the first place. Everything else is a matter of homeostasis and balance. But if you are being medicated for any condition and you're using Clean Slate, really, and Zero In, so because we recommend doing both, but if you are doing this, most commonly, people are using this little guy alone, or they're using them in combination. If you're doing that, and if you watch the conversation and the video that we just did with Dr. Rao going over his results and his findings, if you share that with people and they're not using both, they're not paying attention. But if you start to clean up your body and it starts to work better, how many drugs does a healthy body need? This is a mathematical question. We'll make it multiple choice. Is it 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 plus, or D, none of the above? It would be D, none of the above. It would be 0, because a healthy body doesn't need prescription medications. You don't need drugs because it's working properly. And if you are medicated and you start to clean up your body, what's going to happen? Your body's going to start to come back into more balance, and you might need less of the medication that you've been prescribed, and you might not know it. But if you pay attention, some of the reactions that people see if they're on meds and using Clean Slate is not due to what Clean Slate it's doing. It's side effects from the drugs that they're prescribed that they've never seen before, because the drugs are starting to work better, because the environment's better. Because if you didn't know that medications and drugs, when they're tested in the lab, are tested in a neutral environment, right? And we know that the human body skews just a little bit alkaline. And we know that a diseased body or a toxic body is going to skew just a little bit acidic and a little bit toxic. So if you adjust those pH levels by removing a lot of the toxins, the drugs themselves are going to be metabolized differently. So you have to take that into account. And it's what we talk about. Each one of us is a clinical study of one. It's very difficult to translate results for one individual to another because each of us are different biological organisms, and each of us is biologically unique. We're all human, right? So we all have the same construct, but each one of us is unique. Even between my brother and myself, we're 3 years apart. We were both born in Olympia, Washington. We were both raised in Rochester, Washington for our entire lives, come from the same mom, the same dad, grew up in the same environment, but each of us is different because within that construct, we had different exposures. There was different stuff in my mom when I was born, because I'm a firstborn. My mom miscarried once before I was born. So it's not that I was healthy. I was just clean enough to make it. And then 3 years later, when my brother was born, my mom's exposure to toxins and chemicals over that 3-year time frame was different. So he's different than I am. Even though we're the same blood, we come from the same environment, we're affected differently. We have different issues. I'm a little bit crazy. He's more mellow. Who knew? And knowing that, it's hard to compare, to say, okay, this is what I saw, so this is what you should see. You can't really say that. What you can go over is, as we clean you up, as we clean each of us up, we're going to see changes. What can you expect? Well, generally, here's some ideas. And we're going to have a lot of those generalizations on the new website, under some of the blogs and in some of the materials for you. But it's an understanding that a healthy body is going to function similarly for everyone, but a toxic system is going to vary, right? So you have to watch how your body functions as you go through the process, because none of us here have been here for a short period of time. I don't see any infants that are paying attention here. Everyone's got a few decades under their belt, right? So knowing that, it's a process to clean stuff up. And within that process, you're going to see changes. Some short term, many long term, as you go through the process. And you have to know that if you are medicated for anything, whether it's for thyroid function, could be blood pressure, could be cholesterol. And I don't know if you guys saw the post, I think it's in Root Your Life now, but I believe it came from Ukraine. I forgot her name. One woman that's in the community that in a month, her A1C levels went from 9.5 down to 7.5. Her triglycerides, her HDL and LDL, so her cholesterol, completely shifted. And I think her blood pressure completely shifted as well in 30 days. And clinically, doctors can't do that. And it was amazing. She lost, like, I think she said 6 or 12 kilos. And, it's these kind of shifts that pharmacology can't do. And typically you're not going to see happen without dramatic changes in lifestyle and such. But this, because of the mechanisms that we're working with, it is really, really powerful. And I think this is an important part to understand, is you guys have stuff at your fingertips that's not been done before. There's never been we'll call it a protocol, a combination of two products that create the outcomes and the process that these two are doing synergistically. And like the amazing Dr. Rahm was bringing up, there's more to come, because we're building around that foundation. These two little guys are the foundation, right? There's more to come with that. But as we know, if you're building a home, what's the first thing you have to do? You have to level where you want to be, then you have to create the foundation. And then once the foundation is laid and it's solid, then you can build on it. So what we want to do is lay the foundation. How do we lay the foundation? We remove all the bad stuff, and then we make sure this is working well. Because if you're balanced, if you're less stressed, if your cardiovascular system is working well, if energetically, and if you didn't watch Dr. Rao's presentation, it'll blow you away as far as what he saw and what he'd proven with balancing the body energetically and also looking at output. I mean, we know it's really, really cool. That's all I can say, because I get too excited talking about it. So let me see, what else? Mika, was that sufficient for ranting about thyroid function and such? Does that kind of explain things a little bit? And let me see here. Well, I'm going to go through, see if we got any questions. So, see, there's so many great comments about the pegacorn. And you guys will hear me reference that term. You've probably never heard the term before because it never existed until I met her. So most people know what a unicorn is, and most people know what a Pegasus is. But you never thought that you could have a unicorn with peacock Pegasus wings. That's a pegacorn. You saw her. You don't know one ever existed. You didn't know that there could be a human that looks, sounds, and functions like she does. And then when you see her, you go, okay, coolest thing I've ever seen. I love that. That's the fun part. What do you do? So let me see here. We'll go through everybody's like, we love you, which is true. Let me see here. So there's a question on the source of caffeine in Zero In. Is it modified in any way? What are exactly the additives in Zero In doing the source of vitamin D? Okay, so here we go. So the source of caffeine, we use an anhydrous caffeine. Anhydrous caffeine is basically dehydrated caffeine. And so it's it's basically a white powder. So it's an extract of green tea that they extract the caffeine and then dehydrate it. So it's sourced, don't get crazy, don't get mad, from China. But it's okay, because we make sure that it's organic, we make sure it's clean. And the same goes for the vitamin D sources. I think the vitamin D we source from labs in China, that are as naturally sourced as possible. But there are some components in really most nutritional products that some things are synthesized, other things are processed. And it's important to understand process. But it's also a big part to understand sourcing. And it's a major thing for us with our partnering and collaborating labs that are producing the products for us, that we source from the best possible sources, and that we're getting the highest quality ingredients, because with the highest quality ingredients, you get the proper outcomes. And at the end of the day, that's what's dictating how we make decisions. Make sure my hands, I'll do my Bill Clinton. This is how we're gonna do it. And I could do my best George Bush and be like, squirrel. And then if I do my Trump, like, well, I am the smartest man alive and I have this handled. I don't know what to tell you. But that was my political commentary for the day. But the sources are designed to be highest quality. They're all tested to make sure that they're clean. They're tested to pesticide-free, organic sources. And I do have to make a confession. I didn't catch it initially, but there's a new production run of Zero In being done right now. And if you look at the box on here, under ingredients, under other ingredients, there's F, D, and C, which is food, dye, and coloring. There is none. So when they did it initially, they put it on there, and it wasn't supposed to be on there, and it wasn't caught. So the reason that the capsules are the little gold color that they are is not due to any food coloring. It's due to the curcuminoids, because, well, curcumin is really, really orangish yellow, kind of gold. So that's why it has its color, but there's no food dyes and coloring. So that one won't be on there. And also, you're going to see changes to the suggested use and also the warning label, because people freak out over the warning label as it's written currently. You don't need to freak out. That was my Jerry Maguire. I'm going to go snag the goldfish here in a minute, and I'm out of here. But when we go over the warning, it's not a do not use. It's if you're being treated for those specific conditions, if you have high blood pressure, if you're being treated by a practitioner for specific conditions, why would it be important to work with your practitioner if you're being treated for those conditions and you start using Zero In and Clean Slate? I think we all now know why. Because this stuff works. And not that it's going to have a direct interaction with the medications that are being used, but it's going to have a direct interaction with how your body functions, which then is going to have some interaction with the prescriptions that you're being prescribed. So you want to make sure that you are making the adjustments, and that if you are under the care of a healthcare practitioner or a healthcare professional, understand, I'm not saying a doctor. Some of us have healthcare professionals that aren't MDs, right? I find great reference in PhDs, sometimes a naturopath or a DC or a DO or Stephanie or Roland, because they're great references as well. Mika, sometimes. So if you are under the care of someone, and that's why this is here, the warning is there, not because you don't want to use this if you have these conditions. The warning is there because this stuff works. And you have to plan accordingly, because if you know you have something that has some clinical efficacy, people need to be aware that using something that is effective might affect your body and might affect how other things are working with your body. So you might need less of these, or you might need to adjust. Sometimes, eventually, you don't need any of them. Like if we listen to Will and Will's experience from last week. Will's been type 1 diabetic for a long time. He is insulin dependent. But what did he talk about last week? And we've been doing this for about 5 years together. And aside from the arsenic poisoning that he went blind and deaf and got leukemia, which he can see, he can hear, and he's healthy again. But he's using a third of the insulin that he used to use. So what would happen if he didn't mind that process and kept using the same amount of insulin that he'd been using compared to what his body needs now? Bad things, right? His body's going to go into shock. He's going to have a lot of issues. He's not going to like it. So you have, as your body becomes more healthy, you have to make adjustments. Healthy body, healthy environment, fewer drugs, good times. Let's see here. So there's a question from Michelle. I probably wasn't supposed to call her out, but it's a good question. So she's asking about, what if you've had your entire thyroid removed? That sucks. It's terrible. So if I had that happen to me, they'd have to just kill me. But I would recommend using some glandulars depending upon what you're on. Then your doctor's probably prescribed Synthroid and a bunch of stuff. But I would, oh, now I'm not remembering the name of the company off the top of my head. It's terrible. Hold on, I'm trying to pull it. It's my brown bottles with the light brown label and green print, and it's, wait for it. I took my 0 in. Nope, I'm not going to find it. So if you've had your thyroid removed, one, helpful, but I would find a naturopath or someone that understands herbal medicine and Chinese medicine, and find some glandulars that are good to balance those things. So you're doing it as standard process. Winning. See, there it was. So I would recommend finding a practitioner somewhere in the world that maybe is close to you that works with standard process and can do, you know, the blood work and the testing to work on balancing those more in a natural manner. So I would always skew natural. We do it with our dogs, we do it with ourselves. I'm not big on chemicals, and anytime that you can do something naturally, you should. So I think that's one of the big things, is looking at thyroid function and, you know, working on the natural side. So standard process is phenomenal. So that would be the one big thing to look at. So there's a question on athletes and what to expose and how does it affect lactate and lactic acid and energy output. And did I mention that both of these are banned substance free certified now? This is the new label, and you can't see it very well, but that says banned substance control group, banned substance free. So if you're an athlete, whether you're a professional athlete, you're an Olympic athlete, or maybe just a competitive athlete, and the use of performance enhancing drugs is a concern for you in your sport, these are clean. Now, why is that important? Well, this little guy allows your body to produce more dopamine. This little guy cleans up all the bad stuff from your system. Part of that can be lactic acid. So if you can remove the lactic acid out of your body after a workout, or aid your body in flushing it more effectively, your recovery rate effectively drops. You recover really, really quickly. But as Dr. Rahm had found in his research that we went over earlier, that you guys will all have access to, cardiac output, heart rate variability improves, overall function improves significantly, the management of stress improves significantly, so stress levels drop. But you can look up dopamine in sports performance. Increased dopamine levels allow you to break down barriers and walls of performance, because your body just wants to compete and it wants to do more. And you see it during a work day of getting more work done when you're working mentally. But if you're working physically, you see the same thing. And if you have your brain relax and become more focused and inhibited, in sports, we call that zoning out. To where in basketball, you hear players talk about being in the zone. This is how you get there. Only you can just take a capsule or 2 or 3. And you can control. Let me make sure this is clear for everyone. As an athlete or as a competitor, you have the ability to dictate how much dopamine you want, when you want it. And I don't know if Andre's here. Andre, are you here? Can I unmute you?
Yes, I'm here.
I'm going to call you out because you did something last week.
Yes.
So you've been doing some really good testing as an athlete using your clean slate and using 0 in, but you tweaked your dosage before your workout a little bit. What did you find last week more than 0 in before your workout?
Okay, I did it this way. So in the morning, immediately when I woke up, I took 2 of the 0 ins, and of course 2 drops or 10 drops of clean slate. Then before the training, again I took 2 0 ins, and I can say that I had really great training. I have been full of motivation and energy, and also this was okay, I can say in this way, also during the all of the day, because each day I took, let's say, 4 of the 0 ins at least. And I have trainings, this is 5 times per week. So at that time I'm taking 6 0 ins, 2 in the morning, 2 before training, and also 2 before sleeping. And 3 times per day, 10 drops of clean slate. So one day I will be exploding from energy, because it's amazing. Because also post-workout regeneration is crazy. Because let's say in the last 2 years, I really had big problems with post-workout regeneration, because let's say I was able to do another training on the 100% capacity just 2 days after this first training, And now, let's say if I have a training in 6 p.m. today, I can do tomorrow morning the same, let's say, same capacity. I can do again the same training, because in the last 2 years, I had really big problems, and my regeneration was really in the bad conditions. So now it's amazing because I am full of energy. Now it's let's say 10 o'clock, and I'm still full of the energy. But I had really hard training today with a lot of sprints and so on. But it's crazy how fast the regeneration of the body it is. So it's completely on the new levels, and I have never been experienced that before, So
you'd say it's a bit of an advantage. You'd call it a bit of an advantage over just your traditional training and everything else that you've done in the past.
Yes.
And you haven't told anyone you compete against, have you? Because you don't want to give them that
advantage. Of course. You must be smart, Clayton. You must be smart, So yeah, my experiences are really crazy. So I can't wait because in next 2 days, in Thursday we have a meeting with the sport director of one of the most famous football clubs here in Slovenia. So guys are excited already now because they know what we will be talking to them. So that's crazy.
And I think that's a huge component. One, we need Luka. I want Luka, but
Luka, which one?
Doncic.
Doncic, yeah. Okay, great.
Luka, not Modric. I mean, we don't have to talk football. We want the basketball Luka. And I think the true important part when we look at sports performance, and part of my history in study in college was, like I said, business communications and kinesiology. So sports performance has always been something that it's part of me. I mean, it's what from a child through college, and I haven't done much afterwards, but the combination of these two is working in capacities in sports performance that the entire sports industry has never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And they're banned substance free. And so the cool part of being able to go to athletes or retired athletes or trainers, or now a lot of professional clubs have health and wellness managers. And to be able to open up a conversation to explain, look, you guys are doing this and this and this. You've never had an opportunity to do these two things before. And they're complementary. Because what do we know? It's just like Andre was talking about. If you can remove a lot of the toxins from the body, well, you're going to tap reserves and opportunities that even the most elite athletes haven't been able to tap into yet. Because we have the basketball playoffs going on. The NBA playoffs are going on here in the United States. And I think there's games tonight. So you have some of the most elite athletes on the planet, but each one of them is toxic. So what happens if you apply the principles that we have and you look at the improvements, the percentage improvements in the quality of life or in output that you see in each of us? That's no different than you see in the output of someone that is a genetic anomaly athletically. And you equate that to changes in performance. Scary what can happen. But it's like Andre was mentioning. If you're a competitive athlete and you have this and your competition doesn't, you win.
Yes,
That's
because I saw also big difference in lactic acid, because in the past I had really big issue with the muscle fiber, But in the last time, let's say in the last 2 months, because I'm using now already 4 months of the clean slate and zero in combination from the beginning, from the May. It's crazy because, there is always problem when you have muscle fiber, then it's always problem because next day you're not able to repeat the training you had one day before, and there you are losing this before in front of your competition, because you're not able to repeat the training you had one day before. You cannot do this on the same level you did one day before because you're not able, because it's a lot of pain if you do training, And now, let's say, if I do today training, let's say if I had today a lot of sprints tomorrow, I'm okay, I can do this again. So it's really crazy, and you need to try this, because otherwise you cannot believe, because the body it starts working on the completely new level, because we haven't been experienced it before, and I'm impressed, Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to get through a couple of these final questions here so we can wrap this up. So there's a question on, does clean slate alkalize the body? The short answer is no. Everyone looked up for a second. They're like, why? Hold on a second. The body dictates how that works. All we're doing is removing the cause of acidity. So you typically don't want to alkalize the body, because that you guys have probably heard about alkalized water, and people promoting ionizers and water alkalizers and drinking alkaline water. Here's a little bit of science for you that you can always spin on people. Stomach acid is 2. You drink alkalized water, it goes into your stomach first. You have 2, and whatever you want to add on top of it. And what do you think the stomach does when you add in 7, 7.5, 9.5? It produces more 2 to neutralize that. That doesn't work. It's great spin, but there's no science to it. But it's good marketing. What's the primary cause of inflammation and acidity in the body? Heavy metals and environmental toxins. So if you remove those, the body is going to dictate its environment, right? It's going to find homeostasis. That's what the body does. It's what it always wants to try to do, is create homeostasis, create balance. That's why heavy metals and environmental toxins are sequestered in fat in different areas of the body, because the body is trying to find homeostasis and trying to create balance. So does clean slate alkalize the body? No, the body does. All we're doing is removing the junk that causes the problem, right? Cure the cause. We don't have to talk about symptoms. We don't have to talk about, oh, it does this and this and this. No, the body does all of that. It's the same thing with immune function and everything else. Oh, how do you cure cancer? The body does it. Oh, how do I get rid of this disease or this disorder or inflammation? Remove the cause, let the body take care of the rest. Because that's what we're made to do. That is all, right? Let me see. So for someone that's had cancer and she's on different meds and such, oh, hold on a second. I think this is my call. I'm supposed to do it like 3:30 or so on hold for you guys. So we have a couple of the big new magazines and here in Nashville, they're starting to talk about root, which is going to expand for you guys. So this is an important part for all of you as well, that with some of the relationships we're building in the media here in Nashville, you guys can expand upon. But in your areas, if you have parts of the media that want to run stories, we'll help you with that. And we'll teach you why it's really valuable. Because the media loves affiliate marketing. They love to share. You know what media outlets really, really love? They love money. And you guys, each of you has the opportunity to have phenomenal subject matter to talk about all different types of health and wellness and sports performance and all of these different components that the media is looking to run stories on right now. So be a little bit creative. And so when you're thinking and you're talking to your friends, and I will tell you, one of our youngins that's here in Nashville sent a direct message to one of the news girls she does, I think she's the weather and traffic girl for one of the main TV stations here, and sent her a direct message on Instagram, didn't even know her, and said, hey, you know what? I see you promote different products. Would you like something that's like a natural Adderall? And she's like, yes, please. She tried it and she's like, dude, this is better than my Vyvanse. I want more and I want to promote this. She's got 15,000 followers and is connected to lots of people in the media. And open up your mind a little bit, be creative, because you got to remember, this business model has never been done before. And it has a purity that intrigues people, because people that would never touch multi-level marketing, but they understand the concept, love this because of the purity, because of the simplicity. And it's not dirty. Crucial. So let me see here. So there's a question for anemics, and can it deplete iron levels? And this is an interesting component with clinoptilolite, right? Is clinoptilolite has the ability to bind heavy metals, but there's an innate intelligence. So with healthy metals, some of the lighter metals, the iron, the calcium, the magnesium, the potassium, if someone is deficient in those, it might hold on to some of those metals, but it's going to exchange them for the heavier metals. But what's interesting, in the form of iron, if you're anemic, eat more meat. But if you're using clean slate, it's not going to lower your iron levels. But if you have hemochromatosis, which is excessive iron in your bloodstream, and it's actually one of the few conditions that the treatment protocol is still medieval. Did you guys know this? Of all of the great advancements that we have in medical science, hemochromatosis, the primary treatment is bloodletting. You have to go get blood because they take some of your blood out, which lowers some of the iron levels, and then your body produces more blood, and it also produces more iron, and it goes back up again, and you have to go get blood, and you have to go back and forth. I mean, your doctor might tell you, you need leeches. It's the same thing. But what Clean Slate does is, for some reason, it identifies that there is an excess amount of iron in the bloodstream, and it will buffer the excess to bring things down to a healthier level. Almost like there's an innate intelligence that's working with the body because the body's dictating how that happens. So if you're anemic, it won't have a negative effect on iron levels, but you do want to consume more iron sources. Veggies aren't going to cut it for you. Beef, it's what's for dinner. Sometimes for breakfast and lunch. You never know. Let me see, what else do we have here? Let me see, lead increases, is there some connection? So there was a question about vitamin D and vitamin C and lead toxicity and absorption. Well, if you've got lead in your system, yeah, it's going to be absorbed. And I'd have to look at the balance between, you know, other nutritional supplements and the increased absorption of some of the toxic metals. There is some correlations there. The bigger part is also looking at how your mercury, cadmium, arsenic, lead, aluminum, cesium, strontium. You can go down the list of, we can go antimony and what's the titanium is one that we see a lot of because of women's skincare products. The whiteners that are used in a lot of the skincare products is actually titanium, which can screw up your endocrine system. But yeah, there are some connections. The biggest thing, so you don't have to dive too much into the weeds on it, is just say, look, here's the deal. Get the bad stuff out. Don't worry about the correlation between vitamin C and vitamin D and absorption of lead. As they used to have the commercials for unleaded gasoline back in the day when they were starting to make the transition, get the lead out. Then you don't have to worry about it. And you can supplement properly. You don't have to worry about the bad stuff. So there's a question about Clean Slate removing the bad stuff from vaccines. If a person's vaccinated for meningitis today, how long will they need to use Clean Slate to remove all the bad things that are in it? Hard to say, but you need to do it. And as Dr. Rao was going over earlier, for every decade of existence here, you need at least 1 month of consistent detoxification work. So if you've been here for 20 years, you can plan on at least 2 months to make a good impact. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. And here's the fun part. If you haven't watched Will's experience 5 years in, it'll give you the indicator. How long do you want to do this? Here's the question. Here's a loaded question for you when it comes to Clean Slate and zero in use. We're going to make sure it's quiet. How long do you want to be healthy? Your choice. You can stop if you want. Or go up. Your choice. Let me see. So we got that. Oh. There's improvements in thyroid function. I see some of those. Question on taking zero in and Adderall on the same day. I wouldn't. I would try to get rid of one, replace it for the other. But the hard part is titrating some people off of those. I have a practitioner buddy of mine here that does my tune-ups. He's an amazing chiropractor, and he has triplets, and they're all medicated, and he's medicated, and I'm trying to get them off of those to balance, and it's some work because guess what? Methamphetamines are addictive. Who knew? I mean, and so I would work to balance those. That's where this comes in, using it in conjunction with this. A Clean Slate is going to help clean up some of that, so you can balance it with your zero in use. Everyone was hitting me with standard process while I was struggling to get it. Thank you. Let me see here. Oh, there's a good one. So can 0N aid in the repair of nerve damage for like pain and neuropathy? Who can give me a nod with the answer to that question? Is it, or the answer? Nope. But why? So what do we know is one of the primary causes of neuropathy? We'll go with neuropathy, not the pain aspects, because the pain's kind of easy. But neuropathy, right? Well, what would damage the end of neurons? That would be heavy metals. Mercury is a big one. So if you remove the mercury and the metals and toxins that are damaging those neurons, can the body regenerate and repair itself? Yes. Does 0N or clean slate do it? Nope. What 0N and clean slate do is create the environment to allow the healing to take place. It's not anything we're doing. It's all due to the environment that's created, because a healthy body is always going to find balance and homeostasis. It wants to be healthy. It wants to be vital. It wants to be functional. You just have to give it a chance, no matter what age. And that was one of the things that Dr. Rao was showing, of watching someone's biological age drop by 30 years in 45 minutes of using 10 drops of clean slate and 2 capsules of 0N. So there's an intense difference between chronological age and biological age. This one, your chronological age, stagnant. Biological age, you can change pretty significantly based on your lifestyle and what's going on in your system. You can be older. Ideally, you want to be younger. And if you listen to the Pegacorn, she might tell you that my biological age sometimes is around 12. But I try to keep it a little bit older than that. So maybe that's my emotional age, not my biological age. I don't remember. Miko is talking about talking to people from Tour de France. Absolutely. If you call Lance, tell him it's a drug. Because if you tell him it's no banned substances, he'll be like, I don't want to use that stuff. I mean, come on. If it's not illegal, I'm not doing it. But yeah, when you look at, specific sports, and when you listen to what Andre was talking about, that is a great example because of the lactic acid buildup that they have, and just the consistency of high performance that's needed over a couple weeks, I think, for the Tour de France. That is not something you'll ever see me competing in. That's way too much riding. But I was a sprinter, so we got that. Okay. 0N different from other energy boosting supplements. 0N's different because it doesn't boost energy, right? It's allowing your body to improve dopamine and serotonin amongst some other components because of the adaptogens, but it's how your body uses that. And then when you add a little clean slate, which we know improves metabolic function and mitochondrial function and output, your energy levels are going to go up, but not from a stimulant standpoint. Your energy levels go up because your metabolism is working better and your body is becoming more efficient. It's like having a V8 engine that's only burning or functioning on 4 cylinders. And then you clean out that engine and you get all 8 cylinders firing. It's a difference in performance. Let me see here. And entrepreneur question, possible to mix clean slate with something as a face cleanser in beauty salons? Absolutely. So here's a skincare question for you. Can you use it topically? Yes. How many women use a bunch of chemicals on your face? Almost all of you. It's terrible. But as I think everybody here knows, from being in some of the root groups, a lot of skin conditions are symptoms and signs, you know, eczema, psoriasis, some of these other kind of bad looking skin conditions, right? I wouldn't want to have to deal with them personally. They start internally, because what science shows is that it's liver toxicity of heavy metals and viral particles and specific viruses that combine with those heavy metals that cause the expression of these skin conditions. So, do you want to treat it topically? Sometimes. But do you want to clean up inside so you can remove the causes of the problems in the areas of the body where you're creating the expression of those issues? So the answer is, do you want amazing skin? Clean up everything inside. If you're a kid and you don't want acne, acne is a sign of liver toxicity. Clean up your liver, drink more water, watch your skin clear up. If you're an adult, clean up your liver, clean up your body, watch your skin look better. You want soft skin. And here's one of the things, because with the bottles that are going out right now, they say clinoptilolate on the label. But with the batch that's being done currently, you're going to see a change on the label. And there's going to be a lot of education and training on this, because right now it says clinoptilolate. There's going to be a change that says silicic acid. Does it change the formula? No, it does not. But there's a couple reasons that we're doing that, because clinoptilolate is so effective and it's so well proven in Europe that it's in most countries considered a drug in the powdered form, let alone what we do to it. So clinoptilolate is a sodium aluminosilicate. Don't worry about the sodium alumino aspect. We'll focus on the silica for a second. And there was a study that was done a couple years ago by Dr. Pavlovich and his team that looks at orthosilicic acid. And the most beneficial natural source, high-level source of orthosilicic acid is actually clinoptilolate. And because of the process that we're doing to break apart the cage structure of the clinoptilolate, we are freeing up massive amounts of orthosilicic acid and creating the cage fragments. Well, silicic acid is approved as a food supplement in the EU. So as means of gaining proper registration and being proper with what we're creating, playing the game, we are putting silicic acid on the label. And this is why your hair, your skin, your nails get really, really strong and grow like weeds over time. Because silica is a primary building block of tissue in a human body. Your ligaments, joints, organs, skin, nails, hair, all need silica. We don't get enough of it in our diet. Say hello to your little friend. So you're going to see more on that, but just know, when you see the change on the label, it does not change the process. It does not change the contents, because when it comes to this, and when it comes to this, what's important? One word: outcomes. That's all that matters. Outcomes. As long as we're doing it ethically and we're doing it properly, outcomes are what matters. We could put dog pee on the label, right? Just so it sounded good, right? And say, this is miracle dog pee. Never been done before. as long as we didn't change the formula, didn't change the solution, didn't compromise it in any way, you're going to have the same outcomes. You could just promote dog pee. Something we won't do. But I might create a couple of those bottles and just send them to Stephanie just to be special. Let me see here. Oops, they're calling me again. That means I got to wrap this up. They're consistent. I said 3:30 and they're calling me. Let me see. Levels of dopamine and serotonin. Yeah, that's good. Website says we're organic. Are we organic certified? Our manufacturing facilities are all organic certified, and our sources are all organic, and our sources for ingredients are done from all over the world, and we make sure that we work with our labs to source properly, so everything is organically sourced, and non-GMO and all that fun stuff. When I have parasites in my blood and start using clean slate, flushes the heavy metals in the bloodstream, will it be food for the parasites? No, because it's not flushing the this is an important component of working with clean slate. Clean slate doesn't flush metals into the bloodstream. It scavenges. It's like a little green garbage truck that goes in and grabs onto what it can, traps it in a cage, and allows it to be flushed out. So unlike other chelation methods, this is actually binding and trapping and removing a lot of the bad stuff, and then allowing it to be passively removed. So you're removing a food source instead of pushing a lot of these toxins into the bloodstream and forcing your body to deal with it. And this is good God, the messages keep going. I was at 40, now I'm at 60. You guys don't slow down. You're gonna make me quit early. Okay, we're gonna get through these. We're gonna be quick. I'm probably not gonna get all of them, but we're gonna try. But the important part to that is by removing the source, and like we talked about for balancing pH, your body's naturally anti-parasitic if it's healthy. So there's my attorney too. Now I got to talk to him too. Hold on. I'm running a little bit behind. Can I call you back here in a few? Done. Deal. Okay. So your body is naturally anti-parasitic. That's important. Yes, vitamin D and mercury. Mercury blocks a lot of stuff from being done. Let me see here. Yes, we got that. No, I think I got through them all. Or did they disappear? Wait a minute. Oh, we did get through them all. Oh, all right. Okay, so where's the last one? Cancer, we got that. We did it. We got through them all. Okay, so we did an hour and a half. We did an hour with Dr. Rao. We did an hour and a half now. So I'll have these put on YouTube here shortly. So you guys have these. Everyone give a massive thank you to Dr. Stefan Rao for his participation earlier in his work, because there's more coming. And everyone else, thank you. And let's go out, have some fun. Since you're in Europe, it's like 10:30. Start drinking. Have some water. But
Thank you.
Have some wine.
Yep, that's right. And put a couple drops in your wine. If you guys haven't done that yet, do the red wine test. Put like five drops.
No
Watch
wine
what happens.
6 o'clock in
Yep.
the morning. In the morning.
It's good times. So enjoy the rest of the week. There's more stuff coming. I believe there should be some announcements on the rest of the website because they've been testing, making sure everything for the back office is done. We'll have confirmations here towards the end of the day, our time on that. But we're excited to have everything back in line and working the way we want it to, and better than it was before, and able to grow. So thanks all. We'll chat soon. I got to get to my other calls. Bye all.